Hello everyone. Welcome to chapter 131 of The Last Thoughts of a Busy Mind. Um, no, this is not the new microphone. I am sick again. That's why I sound exceptionally nasally. Though I sound much better right now. Like I can talk for extended periods of time, which is something I wasn't able to just 2 days ago. There are voice messages of me out there to friends and family that can prove that. And if this was an edited show, this is where I would put them. But this is not. As usual, The Last Thoughts of a Busy Mind is not an edited show. Fair warning, coughs are back, more fearsome than ever. I will not again cough directly into the microphone, but there are times I will look away and cough. Now, this episode is named Sickness and Health Free, Sicknesser and Healther. I will get to the joke in a bit, but it's part of a trilogy that started with chapter 119, which was Sickness and Health, and then I think it was chapter 120, which was Sickness and Health Part 1. It wasn't supposed to be part 1, but it got to be part 1 due to, me being sick. Yes, chapter 120 was Sickness and Health. Chapter 121 was Sickness and Health 2. This time it's personal. And now this time we are having Sickness and Health Part 3, Sicknesser and Healther. Now, there is a misconception. Of course, I'm referencing Die Hard to Die Harder. Now, when people want to make a joke in that regard, they usually just say, for example, I don't know, I have a board game in front of me called Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper 2, Ripper Harder. That's not the joke though. Like the joke of the stupidity of the line Die Hard 2, Die Harder, it's literally the name of the movie with an ER added. So if you wanted to make that joke, it would be Jack the Ripper 2, Jack the Ripper. So yeah, that's what is Sicknesser and Healther. I know it's not right, it's a joke. Because we need to laugh when we're sick. And my drink today is normal water. It's not even in a glass. I'm drinking it out of I don't know, what do you call it? It's not a tumbler. I don't know what the name of this. It's a bottle. But it's not, and it's not one of those one-use bottles. It's one of the sports bottles. I don't know. Nice and not at all cold because I can't drink cold water. So, I've got sick on around so at the start of the week, Saturday, because sorry about that. Yep, another one was coming. Start of the week, Saturday, because in Iran the start of the week is Saturday and not Monday. I was feeling not too bad. We went out, we played a bunch of board games. I played Cosmic Encounter. It was incomplete though, because it ran a little long and we needed to leave. But it was fun for a little while. We played Loot and we also played Avalon. Usual roster of games. But, so around Sunday, I felt a little bit sick. I felt a little bit down, and like the end of my nose was stinging, and the coughs were becoming more frequent. And I thought, oh, damn, I think I've gotten sick again. Well, on Monday, it got worse. I have to be honest. In the trilogy of Sickness and Health, this most recent version of the sickness was much more destructive than the last two versions. They weren't fun. They weren't fun at all. The coughs, which have been with me since August 11th, so more than 2 months, I've had the coughs. Um, Not good, I know. And like, they weren't fun. The chest pains, the coughs made my stomach churn, and headaches that went with it weren't fun. But there was one thing kind of good about them. None of them had fevers. This one did. Like, in the period of Monday and Tuesday, I had four fever periods, each of them lasting from a couple of hours until medication took effect and broke the fever. And they went as high as 40 degrees Celsius, my body temperature, which is not fun. One of them even almost broke 41, I think, at one point, which is again not fun because with the fever, of course, comes the body. Like, I couldn't move. I couldn't move. And then because of the sickness, my body couldn't retain any moisture I put in it, in a sense. Basically, anything I drank, I would immediately, within like 10 minutes, run to the bathroom and piss it away. Which is, I know, not a pleasant picture, but that's sickness for you. So sickness are rarely pleasant pictures. So yeah, it also meant that my eyes were stinging like crazy. I was constantly having to dry my eyes because my tear ducts were going mad because of the stinging, and just it was a wet face basically. And now my face is actually kind of peeling away because I have face problems, and due to the sickness I can't take care of it properly. But anyways, yeah. And then on Wednesday I had an IV with one, I think, injection added to it, which meant that I haven't had fever since. I haven't had a fever since. But there are other stuff. Of course, the coughs. You hear the beautiful sound of the coughs as I'm recording this, and they are as bad as they sound because it genuinely feels like my lungs. I want to rip out my lungs. And my body temperature, even though I don't have a fever, is at a constant fluctuation. I'm hot and I'm cold within a moment notice. Like, literally right now I feel too hot, and I hate when I feel hot. Like, I can't in many cases handle being too cold. Being too cold, easy to deal with. You put on more clothes and you deal with it. Being too hot, I can't deal with it, and it makes me mad. It makes me irritable. And speaking of irritable, I've been incredibly irritable too. Again, skin problems make me like literally irritable, and sickness, coughs make me irritable, and being hot makes me irritable. And then just because of the sickness, a lot of the mental barriers that I've managed to build over the past few months to get some work done have been torn down to some extent, and a lot of bad stuff are coming back and just mingling with my everyday thoughts, which are not good. Nobody wants that. Not my friends, not my family, not my loved ones, and not me. Most of all, not me. Even you, dear viewers, probably shouldn't want that. Unless that makes the viewing, not viewing, why did I say viewer? If you're viewing this on YouTube, first of all, like, comment, subscribe, all of that. And, do comment. I can read the comment there. You're not really viewing anything other than a wavelength, which also, in and of itself, if you go back, like, the first couple of episodes, the first couple of seasons, it didn't even have that. It was a static image. So, yeah, no, you're not viewers. You're my dear listeners. Unless it makes the listening experience more fun, you really shouldn't want me to be sick and have those bad thoughts in my head. So, I'm halfway on the halfway mark of the episode, and I need to talk about something else because while I was lying down, unable to do anything other than basically listen to old videos I've seen, I rewatched a lot of Knowing Better. I listened to a lot of. Right Opinion had a new video. I usually use it for like background noise, and because I couldn't do it, I couldn't watch anything, I couldn't retain much information. The most I could do was yesterday when I started to improve, I finished, finally caught up with Would I Lie to You, which it's over. I'm caught up. If the next season comes, I can start. By the way, today is going to be a new Taskmaster. That's the only thing I'm kind of a little bit excited about, and the fact that I need to leave the house. And for the past week I haven't. I couldn't leave the house. For like 6 days, I've been stuck inside. Usually, Jesus. Sorry. Give me a second. It's bad. The coughs are fucking bad. Sorry. I'm usually someone who stays at home, but there are, for the first time in a long, long time, there are people I genuinely want to see. Like, there's one person in particular who I haven't seen since Saturday, and it's driving me crazy. I need to see her very much. Okay, what I was saying. One of the things that happened this week while I was lying there fighting for my life is the gruesome murder of Dariush Mehrjui, and Disney having its centennial anniversary, 100 years of Disney animations. Now, oh, sorry. I'm not going to speculate or anything about Dariush Mehrjui's murder. It's an ongoing investigation. As usual, anything that Islamic Republic is integrated with is carrying a certain level of conspiracy, and it reminds me of that quote from Hazard Aston, because I recently watched a few episodes of Hazard Aston, which is the death of Ismail Khan in that way was a crime, not a justice, even though he was a traitor. And that's the thing, anything that Islamic Republic is marginally involved in is carrying a honestly understandable level of what do you call it? Honestly, an understandable level of conspiracy. I can't really blame anyone for having those conspiratorial thoughts because, there is some merit in some of them. Like in the 70s, they did stage a lot of serial killings to kill a lot of prominent artists and journalists and people who they deemed to be enemies. So it's not like they haven't done this before. No, they've done it, but have they done it right now? I don't know. Dariush Mehrjui's death alongside Q Master Pur Ahmad earlier in the year are extremely suspect, but in any case, it's a tragedy. Dariush Mehrjui, for all of the faults that he had in the recent years, which are not insignificant, it certainly soured him, and there is a incredibly cruel way of looking at it, which is that if his death had happened much sooner, a lot more people would have probably cared. But right now, Dariush Mehrjui was not very relevant. His movies were not very good, and yeah, I'm sorry, it's incredibly cruel, but that's the march of time. The thing is that despite anything, he was an influential figure in Iranian cinema and in shaping of the society. A lot of his quotes are still incredibly relevant, not only in a social sense, like in The Renters or The Cow, but in a personal sense, like in Harmoon. So he was an incredible man, incredible thinker, incredible director. He was a good director and a good writer. and he was murdered. He didn't die. He was murdered in an extremely gruesome manner. I'm not gonna describe it, but it's not easy. I don't think I've dealt with it properly yet because I was sick and I didn't have time or the mental capacity to deal with it. So I don't think I've dealt with it yet, but it is extremely, extremely destructive. I don't know. I don't wanna think about it right now because as much as this show is my extremely cheap therapy sessions, I sometimes I have to remember this is also going to be online, and maybe not all the thoughts in my head needs to be said out loud, especially working thoughts that, as I said, for example, as I was talking about the conspiracy and I was trying to say that, I kept thinking, oh no, am I giving conspiracy fuel to the conspiracy theorists, and I don't know, giving them racial reasons to mistrust Afghans because, believe it or not, that's the fucked up society we live in. That's a genuine problem. That even the death of this artist is somehow being linked to Afghan refugees. I don't want to go into it because it's a waste fueled distraction technique. It's not the first time Islamic Republic or the previous administration in Iran have done it, and it's not going to be the last time. And not only it's not exclusive to Iran either, so I don't think you need to hear about it. Just know that fuck you if you're using this death to justify your racist beliefs. And the other thing, as I said, Disney Studios got it 100-year anniversary, Disney Animation Studios. And I watched the Once Upon a Studio thing because it had Jeremy Irons, honestly. They brought back Jeremy Irons to voice Scar for like one line. He said, I'm surrounded by idiots again. And it was so fun. I loved the man. And that's the reason I watched it. And it ended with every one of the Disney characters singing Once Upon a... When You Wish Upon a Star. I'm sorry, Once Upon a December is another studio entirely. When You Wish Upon a Star. When you wish up. And in it, there is a moment of, I want to think, hero worship of Walt Disney himself. Now, Disney, I'm not a big fan of the company. I'm not a big fan of its brand and its the way it brands itself. I don't like its origins, myth origins, and the way they really overhype Walt Disney and really undersell the fact that in order for Disney to rise, a lot of people's work were exploited, including like Iberworks and Jesus, my head hurts, and we are reaching the end. I just need to soldier on for 2 minutes and give you my point. I'm not a big fan of Disney. I'm a big fan of their products, though. As I said, Lion King is my favorite animated movie of all time, and I can't think of my life without a lot of people who just birthed from Disney. Tim Burton started in Disney, so yeah. As much as I hate them, they have left a mark. That's why I hate them. It seems like there is no way of defeating them. They hold our nostalgia with an iron grip, and this animation was one. But it got me thinking, both Dariush Mehrjui and Disney, there was something of a common theme there, and that was legacy. And as I was lying there thinking, I thought, what would be my legacy? I think this is one of them. The show, no matter how many listeners, is part of my legacy. And I think when we get down to it, like when we really think about it, whenever people think of me, they will think of a few things. Christopher Lee, Dracula, Jeremy Irons, Spaghetti Western. And honestly, I know it's legacy by association, but that's a good legacy to have. I have more to say. I don't have enough time. I'll see you next week.